Hey everybody, Texas Trucker here, Alliance Performance Shop, Lone Star Mopars.com. In the previous video, we take a look at this. And you're like, what in the world's going on there? Well, brand new striking cap demo drivers from Channellock. Most importantly, why is all this other stuff out there, including a couple of ratchets and a Vera driver? Well, that's why. They have a striking cap with a square drive recess that, yes, incorporates quarter drive, meaning you can literally couple it to your favorite ratchet, breaker bar, T-handle, and go to town with some extra torque. Now, I mentioned that we got a couple of things on that order. Again, it was bought direct from Channellock. That set right there, two pieces, only the two demo drivers, $26.89, which I think's pretty freaking good price considering they're 6-inch blades, not 4-inch, to get a little extra length. They've got striking caps, and you've also got the quarter square drive, which is really rare. You don't see that often. It comes out to $13.50 a driver, essentially. That is full of win. What's even better, we got them on sale, and we got them on sale with this. This item from Channellock, a little bit cheaper, believe it or not. It's part number 61H. Some of you familiar with Channellock, or that remember older videos on the channel, might just know what that is. Price point, $16.07 on this guy, and again, we did pick it up on sale. What is it, you ask? It is this. You think like, oh, the 6-in-1, of course, 61H, makes sense now, right? This is 100% made in the USA. Again, you're going to have the same handle, which we see in this new iteration of drivers from Mayhew. This is pretty much the exact same setup as the OG. What is the OG? We'll take a look at that in a second, but let's see what we've got here for $16.07. Again, screwdriver, nut driver. That probably answers your question about where all the 6 pieces come from, and if it doesn't, this convenient chart on the sidebar will. Slotted, we've got 2 bits, 3/16 and quarter. Phillips, you've got a number 1, you've got a number 2, and then for a nut driver, you have quarter and 5/16. The amount of tasks that you can complete with those 6 profiles is pretty impressive. Things have gotten way more complicated. People are producing crazy, ridiculous, expensive specialty fasteners, but not too long ago, this could do probably 70% of what you would run into. Pull up to the gas station and you see a puddle of coolant and you're just going to have to tighten up a hose clamp. 6-in-1 does it. Need to adjust your carburetor? 6-in-1 does it. Have some linkage to screw with, or your window regulator? 6-in-1 does it. Need to change your, ballast resistor? 6-in-1 does it. Got a coil to swap on a long road trip on a drag and drive event? 6-in-1 does it. You get the idea. And same thing around the house. Number 1 Phillips for the kids' battery toys, when you have to take the battery door off and replace that stuff and find it's crusted. Then you flip to the slotted and you clean out all the acid residue and go to town. Then you switch back to the number 2 to handle some stuff, and then you crack a light switch cover or a switch goes bad, you got the slotted. It's very, very impressive what these 6 things can do, at least in America from, say, year 2000 back. Things, if it's not quite the workhorse that it once was, given just how ridiculous things have become, but it's still pretty capable. So especially if you're someone that lives in the past, say 1990s and later, this is still quite the tool to have. Whatever the brand, Channellock, Klein, insert your, one-off, knockoff, something you got from a parts counter, at Napa or CarQuest in 94, a 6-in-1 is a really good tool. So what are some selling points? Well, let's see what Channellock thinks they are, and we'll roll with that. Alright, the handle, as you should have drilled in your mind from the last video, they're proud of this. Reinforced 3-sided high-performance handle is what heat stabilized and modified to provide excellent abrasion protection, impact resistance, which we covered ad nauseum there, and chemical tolerance, which is a big one and is going to differentiate from, say, a 2-component or a driver with a softer grip. This is kind of a hard handle, if you will. Coming up next, number 2, you've got precision machine tips to engage the fasteners with a secure fit. Channellock Blue's solid grip reduces fatigue and maximizes torque. That's really kind of compliment to point 1, but we'll give them credit. We'll also give them credit for this, 100% made in the USA. Once more, 3/16 and quarter, 1 and 2 Phillips, quarter and 5/16 hex for bolts, nut drivers, things along those lines. So we tore right in on the demo drivers. Can we do that here? I don't know. For your convenience, I'll cut that out, but a combination of the Cutix and the original hero, the 318 CBs from, you guessed it, Channellock, finally got this thing out. So it's not quite as smooth as I'd hoped, but it was kind of cool the first couple. So right here, you have a really nice handle. This thing is surprisingly lightweight for what you would think it would be. If you're unfamiliar with the handles and you haven't looked at either our striking cap or the original debut of this driver, check it out. Kind of hidden away there, Easter egg form. You have the Channellock logo. Right here, you got warning safety glasses. And you're thinking like, okay, and then what do we have? The part number? Yeah, boo-hoo, we don't really need to see it. Well, you do, because it's right there, 61H. But look at that, 100%. Made in the USA with the American flag. Flipping it around right here. Do we have it? We do. The Lineage continues. That says 6 in 1. Literally, the number 6, the letter N, and the number 1. That is cool because I think that's about all they could fit. That was an extra expense they didn't have to go to. And if you're thinking like, what in the world are you talking about with the Lineage continues, man? That makes absolutely no sense. Well, it's about to. And, before we unveil why, we have to ask ourselves, in the previous video I told you about these, the Code Blues, which unlike the Code Blue pliers, which are premium American made 2-component grips, these are actually global, they're import drivers, beaters if you will, whatever you want to call them. Actually pretty nice drivers, very unique as well. But that was a previous Channellock driver, and you think like, well, that's weird. Channellock didn't have an American made screwdriver. They did, and it's right here, it's my pointer. And you think, huh. I think I remember that. Was it an acetate handle? Well, if that's what you had in your mind, you, my friend, are 100% correct. This is one of the better looking acetate handles in terms of clear view with an accent color. I really do like these. These are obviously reminiscent to me of like the Craftsman stuff back in the day. And if you're thinking like, okay, so this is the 6-in-1, huh? Oh, there it is. It's Channellock, made in the USA. Show us the 6-in-1. Well, I can't, because this is a 6-inch standard shaft, number 2 Phillips. And you think, okay, well, what was that whole lead up about the Lineage or whatever? Well, it was about this. And you're thinking like, oh, hey, that's that. Okay, translucent acetate. I'm seeing what's going on here, huh? All right, well, there you go. Channellock, made in the USA. And when I flip this over, 6-in-1. Now, granted, they had more real estate on the acetate handle, so it's the number 6, the letters I and N, and the number 1. Now it's reduced down to 6-in-1. Again, 3 letters as opposed to 5. But super cool nonetheless. This is also 6-1A, whereas the newest one is 6-1H. But both of these 100% made in America. And this is literally the predecessor to what we just unboxed. So if you come in now and you want to buy a 6-in-1 from Channellock or a Multibit driver, you're going to get that. If you would have done this 2 years ago, 10 years ago, you would get this. And the way this works, you pull that out, you got your, they kind of did it smart in my opinion. You got the 3/16 and your 1, which those would be your small bits. Right here, you would have the quarter drive. Flip this around, you got the number 2 and the quarter. You can see what I was doing last with them, I'm sure. The way that works, you've just got a little ball retention mechanism. Right there would be your 5/16. Again, note it's much more spacious than this one. And then you've got the wings right there. So, the way that works, it just simply slides in and nests into the acetate handle. It is surprisingly robust, I would say. It's kind of hard to pick up the nut driver position because it just looks like a black cylindrical hole. I assure you it is a hex profile. The bits are also labeled. But, what we want to do now is set this down in a position of prominence that will soon roll down and take a look at the 6-1H. So first thing first, That shaft is sort of black. This is kind of a metallic shaft. Let's take a look. It has a number 1 Phillips extending. What do we have? I'm just going to bring this up so I can take a look at it. All right, this does not actually list the bits. It does have oil on it. It does have this ball retention mechanism. Doesn't list out that this is a 1 and a, let me make sure, 3/16. That's definitely not quarter. Right there, the good news is this actually looks more like a nut driver, solely for your viewing preference. Right? If I take this and we nest this back, it looks to be the same design. Let's find out if it is. It totally is. It always looks like this is shorter than that. Here we've got the quarter drive. If I pull this out, we've got the number 2 Phillips. Again, nothing different. Right there, you'd have your 5/16. So what I want to do, and what you probably want to do, is see, can we cross-pollinate? Will these interchange with one another, or has the system changed? We're going to take this one, the old one, we're going to pull our number 1 and our 3/16. We're going to set it down there. Right here in the new one, which again, black versus metallic, sort of silver, I should say. We've got this. Will it plug and play? It totally does. So let's say that you had this Acetate 6-in-1, you loved it. You needed it in nut driver form, and you lost this. Terrible day, right? You're thinking like, man, I really need a number 2 Phillips, and I use the quarter more than the 3/16. This really sucks. If you come in and you buy the new 6-in-1, you can either A, pull that bit and use it here, or B, you have a backup of the entire setup. Now let's come in and get this pulled back out, reinstalled here. Let's take this one and we'll actually flip this around. We'll take that out, throw it down. We're going to now, which side was I on? This one. Mate that in. We've got the old shaft, the old handle, and the new bit. We're now going to pull this out, and this is the question. We know that the bits interchange, but does this? You know it. So very, very cool. Did they have to keep backward compatibility, especially with a fairly radical design change? No. Did they? Yes. Was that possibly cost savings? Could be, but it's also nice for us, the end user and consumer in this case. I can tell you right now, as much as I do like the aesthetic of this, from the sentimental value, nostalgia, you know, growing up and every screwdriver I ever saw was virtually acetate minus Kleins, which were acetate with a rubber cushion, right? This is like a throwback, and I do like it. It's got value to me. But in terms of ergonomics and just functionality, this new handle, I've got to say, is probably my preference by a considerable margin. Like, I'm right-handed. You would not know that based on how much faster I'm able to spin this. That's not because I'm really good and ambidextrous, it's because this is just a better handle, right? So again, right here, even though we've got the thumb issues, boom, it's just, this is a more ergonomically beneficial handle to me. Some of you may love this, some of you might hate this handle, but just generally speaking, I think if you want to talk about it in terms of what handle can you turn faster if you're being truthfully and not trying to skew results in your preferential direction, it's not going to be the Acetate, it's going to be this one. So again, this one though is super cool. It's basically now kind of a relic, I guess. I don't know if you like collect it and preserve it, or if you just use it and don't care. The way they did this one, you can kind of see this inset here where it's much, much darker than through here where it's a true translucence. That's just the piece that holds that. Same concept, I'm sure, applied with this new one. So it is going to be metal here. I don't know that this one was. Let's grab the PB Swiss. Okay, it totally is. This one might have some sort of a coating on it, would be my guess. But yeah, so 16 bucks, can you go wrong? I don't know that you can, especially if you don't have a 6-in-1. Some of you watching my videos from Europe, Australia, across the globe, you always get a kick out of the American guy bringing in German or Japanese stuff, right? This is your chance. You can pick this up dirt cheap. I would assume you could probably get it for 15 bucks, okay, from the jungle site. Maybe a little bit more than that wherever you live. But it's your chance to get a truly 100% American-made, brand new Channellock driver. Granted, Mayhew's involved here. 6-in-1, and you can kind of relive the past. Because again, I'm not talking Ultra driver with 26 bits. I'm not talking Ghidorah's silent gear. Should be sitting right here. You know, like 12 bits and, you know, one in the chamber. None of that. I'm just throwing it back. Whether you grew up and, you know, a TV repairman came over, or, you know, mom's dishwasher, you know, went out, electrician came by to put up the new light you saved up for in the dining room. Almost everyone, again, brands did vary, but almost everybody that was anybody in the trades had a 6-in-1. And like I said, it's sadly, I don't know that it's as big of a deal as it is now. Granted, it kills me. I'm around some sort of like high-end electricians from time to time. They either have like Milwaukee stuff or really cheap stuff. They don't, a couple of them are still die-hard Klein, like the older guys. A lot of the new, like younger generation, it's like seems to be Milwaukee's their preference. But I still know a few. It's usually Klein or a knockoff that looks like Klein, where they're rattling around. You know, it's basically this with the cap on the bottom. I've got a Acetates. I think it's a Craftsman. What is that? Maybe it's not Craftsman, but it looks just like the Channellock, black and white color scheme on that one. And it basically spins out and you throw bits in it. That's a throwback to me too, because again, virtually everybody had those. And as a kid growing up, you know, if you're just kind of like watching, it didn't matter if like the plumber, the air conditioner goes out and it's 108 degrees, of course, because that's how it always works. The heater goes out in the wintertime, thing on the coldest day of the year. It just, people showed up and they had multi-bit drivers. And like I said, that's still, you kind of see it, but I feel like it's almost a lost thing, right? Like I feel like people are kind of switching gears and just, you know, they Vito Pro Pack and, you know, a bunch of drivers in a bucket type of a thing sticking up through some leather holster. Back in the day, a man shoved a giant multi-bit in his back pocket or shirt pocket and, you know, got stuff done. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that. Like if you're older, if you're my age, do you remember the glory days where like anyone that showed up had a multi-bit driver? Right? Or is that not a thing? Is it something you don't remember and, you know, you never paid attention? You know, I always did. I was always amazed. That's where only place I would see skill saws, like the literal brand, was like when people came and were doing work and everybody seemed to have skill saw, and then it was just gone. Friends' parents, what was the #1 saw that I ever saw? Like, you wouldn't think another saw existed. It was Delta. So you almost don't even find that stuff. Power tools back in the day. I had 14.4 volt Craftsman stuff, which died really fast. But seems like everyone else had Porter cable, right? You don't see that very often anymore. It might kind of be like a bygone thing. Of course, now, you know, like Klein has the bigger ones. I don't really like you get to a point and it's like, great, we jammed 256 bits and it's everything you'll ever need with a backup and a backup for the backup. But like, if you come in and it's like I'm turning a jar of pickles, like it's not a good tool. It's great that you fit all that stuff in there, but you know, like if I have to come in with this water bottle and go to town, just, no, this is better. So, I don't know, there's a sweet spot and a stop, you know, and it's kind of, even with this Ghidorah, this is the one, of course, you know, where you've got, you know, the 12 bits inside, but it's pushing the limits. It's a chunky little guy, right? Now, one without bit storage in the magazine is much easier to spin, but again, look at that. Who's going to win here? Granted, I realize this is a ratcheting driver, so it's not a great example, but apples to apples, like, you see what I'm saying. You get to a point, and as the form factor increases, it gets too big, right? You always hear me complain about handles being too thin, and you think like, oh, I'll just give this guy a watermelon on the end of the thing. Well, yeah, you get to a point, and it's ridiculously oversized, too. These are kind of a sweet spot, and for me, I guess it's kind of nostalgia, too. But I just like them. I think they're nice. And this one, I think they both look good. Again, obviously I'm somebody that likes the color blue. Your opinions may vary. I also like these handles quite well, but in terms of like fast spin, this is going to be tough to beat. So yeah, it's kind of, again, modern tech versus something from 30 years ago, right? What do you prefer? Sort of take from there. The difference in profile here, and this is going to be the same for either driver. You can see right there again, this is your quarter, this is your 5/16. I'm sure somewhere some of you know, like, hey, if you ever lose those bits or wear them out, whether you can buy them from Wiha or Channellock, I don't know. Probably could, you'd think. Some people at $16 just might not care and buy a new driver, but I would think somewhere you could source those. And I say that because I'm thinking of the people in Canada with the number 2 square stuff. You're like, hey, I need a 1 and a 2 square, right? Well, hey, go to town. And you know, if you play your cards right, you might be able to get an adapter that you could plug into the back end of the striking demo driver and, you know, have a longer conversation piece, right? But yeah, this is, I guess, what we'll call it the 90s, right? Acetate handle, 6-in-1, solid, nothing wrong with it. This is the modern equivalent. Both fantastic, both made in America. Aesthetically, overall, I might honestly, if we swapped this over, I don't know, man, the acetate handles, there's just something about them, right? It's not near as efficient. I totally get it. I just like them. I mean, I grew up with this stuff, right? So, yeah, but I don't know. Which one would you buy? If you walk into the store, right, and these are there, they're not on clearance. These are there, but they're not on sale. And you have your choice. They're both $15, right? Which one are you going to buy and why? Is it, you know, well, this one's newer and I can get support for it, or, you know what, I'm going to get that guy. It's not a relic or a dinosaur. It's great. I prefer the acetate. Let me know. Interesting to kind of archive information. Right here, you'll note they are subtly different in terms of the stick out, but we flip this over like acetate, you'll see what I've done. It basically made it up there, so that's just kind of by design. But yeah, this is a great pickup for $16. This is the type of driver, if you think like, man, you know, I'm like this guy, and I'll admit I prefer a standard driver. You think you can have 6-in-1. All right, well, Travis Kelsey, sit down, because I actually do prefer a standard driver. I would rather have 6 standard drivers. That's just personal preference, right? The thing is, do I want 6 standard drivers in the glove box of the Duster? No. Do I want to have 18 drivers in the trunk of the Charger? No. I would rather have this, or I'd rather throw a chunky little Klein in there and just like, this is for the road, this is what we've got. So there's a time and a place for these. And again, if you're walking in on a repair job, again, thinking back to my youth, insert this or something from Klein, it's like everyone and their dog had this, right? And remember when cheese balls were a thing? Everyone and their dog had those too. That same electrician, you know, that's carrying this around in his pocket, always the fat electricians always have them in the shirt pocket. But same guy, you know, he walks in with a can of cheese puffs, and you're like, what? And then he opens it up and splice caps, and you're like, what a genius. You know, this man not only bought cheese puffs, but he's reusing the can to hold supplies to make a living. Yeah, those were the glory days, I'll tell you right there. But I gotta say, I think this is well worth the $16. The value here for these 2 striking cap drivers, again, $13.50 a pop, and then a 6-in-1 for $16. 100% made in America. If this was like an import from China, you know, you'd probably think, yeah, $16, whatever. It's, you know, just pick it up. I need it. 100% made in America. And it's at a price point that you would think it was an import from Asia. They're just full of win. If you're on the fence with the Channellock stuff or with the new drivers, you got your standard, you've got your striking cap options with the cool quarter drive recess, or you can just go 6-in-1. And I think it's worth giving it a shot. Again, if you're watching this video, you got to realize there's people that don't care. They think we're crazy. And we, of course, think they're stupid because they're wrong. But when new tools come out, it's exciting. It gives you something to look forward to. You can try them, see if you like them. If you think, man, they screwed up so bad. They had the perfect acetate handle. It looked amazing. You know, the paint never came off, and they went to that plastic junk. Even if that's the case, you pick this up, you compared it, you had your fun, you can trash it, you can throw it, you can break it, you can lose it, you can give it away. All right? It's just something to look forward to and enjoy. Now, the real question, we've covered this stuff right up here. I have something Channellock sent me when I won something. Will they replace the keychain with the new handle design? Now, you've been rocking around with this thing for 6 years because you won one too. Uh-oh. You're out of style. You know, you're walking around in Reebok pumps and they've been phased out and no one told you. What are you going to do? We'll have to see. But so far, I'm liking what they've done here. And again, the craziest thing to me is, and obviously, you know, we've not used those. They were brought in for testing, which we'll do at some point in time when time allows. The price points on them are just stupid good. Again, you would think that this was junk from China at the price point. For the price that I give you for a 6-in-1 or a 2-piece demo driver set with a striking cap, with a quarter drive square recess to pair with a ratchet or breaker bar, it's a win. It's something I think you owe it to yourself to try. Don't buy it all. Get one, whether it's a standard fixed driver, a 6-in-1, or you're like, hey, you know, these are American made, they're guaranteed for life, I'm going to buy the striking cap and tear them up. Do it. See if you like them. Take it from there. If you don't, you're out $13.50 a driver. Fantastic pricing. So yeah, I will quit rambling. I got to get inside and get a drink. I've also got a early day at work tomorrow. At least I had fun tonight. I'm also going to go watch the Mavericks and Kings. Dallas kind of tore them up in the second half Tuesday night. It's back-to-back games with the day in between, but they're like 6 and 7 in the West right now, so it's important for seeding, so I'm going to check that out. I think the Final Four, not Final Four, whatever, I don't know. I don't get into college much, but I have a bracket, so I think it's the Sweet 16 or one of them, I don't know. It's the tournament, 16-8, I don't know. I've been too busy to like go through and tabulate it. I just know, I think most of my bracket's screwed, but hey, I like an underdog story, and like I said, I know professional sports, I know the NBA, I don't know collegiate stuff, so it's hard to get attached to it. Like this, when I talk about the Lineage, right, this was there, it was a staple. This is a supersession to that, you know, you can see the heritage. With college, it's like the school's the same, the jerseys are kind of the same, none of the players are, and that kind of kills it for me, right? I would rather like follow a person from their rookie year till year 14 when they retire. And that's kind of like with this. It's like, man, this was really good. Now the question is, when did they start this and what was before it? Was it like a cheap plastic handle and then they went to the acetate? Was it acetate developed in 85 and they just ran with it the entire time until this? I don't know, and I wish I did. But yeah, I'll quit rambling. Let me know your thoughts on this stuff. Again, hero of the show is this Channellock 6-in-1. I gotta tell you, I really do like this handle. And again, quarter 5/16, the big kicker for some of you. I've never investigated this. I'm sure you could find some way to do it. But if you could get different nut driver sizes as well, maybe you're a metric person even, you're like, I really want this, but I wish it wasn't, you know, like a 8 and a 10 or something. Hey, you know, now you know how I feel, and I'm like, man, I wish Stavilla and Hazette made these in SAE sizes. But, yeah, I don't know that, German, I don't know if they had anything like this. Bit drivers with multiple bits, yes, but something like this, I don't know. I know there's the Wiha, right? But that's sort of an American thing. They're doing that kind of in America, right, up in Minnesota. So, I don't know. Maybe this is an inherently American deal. Let me know if you're across the globe. 6-in-1. Did the guy show up to fix everything and this is what everyone and their dog had? Or are you appalled at the thought of that? Just like when, you know, Germans look at the plumbing in America and it's not consistent. It doesn't mirror itself from one hotel to the next, and it drives you crazy. Whatever you want to talk about, feel free. I hope you enjoyed the video, maybe learned a little something. Again, if nothing else, I hope you learned this is available. It's pretty cool. It's a great successor to the old guard. And you can buy direct from Channellock. Are they paying me to tell you that? No. Did they send this to me? Yeah, they did, but I had to pay $16 for it. You know what I'm saying? So this is just me passing along the information. Again, if I have an opportunity, if I can buy direct, I do it. Unless, of course, the distributors have better prices, which if the manufacturer's selling direct, the distributors want to stay in business, they should really work on that. But yeah, I think this is a cool little driver. I was stoked about those. These are great as well. It's just all full of wind, and the prices are very reasonable. So with that said, LoneStarMopars.com is the website. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you like multiple things we do here, I encourage you to subscribe. If you never want to miss a video, or some random guy in Texas can introduce you to stuff that you didn't know that you wanted or needed, you can subscribe. If you do that, you ring the bell, you jump your duster across the ravine. We're changing it up there. Spiced it up for those of you that always stick around. Not the Charger across the creek this time. This is the duster across the ravine. YouTube just might notify you. We got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, I do hope you enjoyed. Hope you have yourself a fantastic week. And most importantly, I hope I catch you back here for more action from the shop. Oh, you're still here? Well, how about some bonus content? As I was putting things up, I thought to myself, hey, I want to check and see if the Wiha 6-in-1 is compatible with the Channellock stuff. Very similar concepts, obviously both 6-in-1. Same kind of base configurations, right? Your shaft slides out. You got double-ended bits. Now, Wiha did things slightly different. They've got the 3/16 and the quarter on one. They also, in the way that you can differentiate these, is Wiha does have theirs labeled very nicely, I must say. Channellock used to have those labeled. They no longer do. But again, note, you got Phillips and slotted there, whereas Wiha is slotted, and Phillips. Right here, though, you can see I've got the label. I've got Channellock. I've got this in. It's super tight. It's going to work just fine. Now, I have not tried the actual magazine. That actually works too. So this is the Channellock magazine, or shaft if you will. This is a Wiha bit, which again I will prove by taking that out and focusing maybe, where you can see the numbers again. Okay, you should really just trust me at this point in time, right? But there's quarter and 3/16. We're going to set that down. We're going to take the Channellock, which I told you was Phillips and slotted instead of slotted Phillips with Wiha. This is going to plug in. You're like, that fits great, and that's because this is the Channellock shaft. Again, if I pan out here so you can kind of see this better, just dropped it. But right here, number one Phillips 3/16 slotted. Remember that setup? That's because it's the Channellock. Now, we didn't try the Wiha, which I will prove is the Wiha. This one here doesn't matter because we've got it going in. But this should be Phillips, and they should be labeled because it's the Wiha. There you can see it is. So, Wiha shaft, Channellock handle. Will that even work? This is, oh yeah, it'll totally happen. So, this is even better, right? So now, let's say you can get those Wihas really reasonable. And in fact, sometimes you're able to like get them as a freebie thrown in with an order. If you did that and you accrued a bunch of them, you now got basically interchangeable parts. Now, is this the same company? Is it? I don't know. I know that Wiha was doing these, and I know that they're made in America. I think it's done at a facility like right next to them in Minnesota, as best I remember. This, I would assume, was Mayhew. Don't hold me to that. Obviously, handle the other things we've showcased, but in terms of the 6-in-1, I don't know for certain. I don't know. All I can tell you is they interchange, so it's a win. And with that, I'm going to get this thing Probably, I'll edit something tonight while I watch the game. But yeah, just wanted to check that out. It turned out to be something cool, worth showing. So there you go.